This is TNA, the new face of professional wrestling.
Hello, and welcome back to Feast or Fired. Brian, this is Mel.
Hello.
This is the August 28th pay-per-view for TNA. All right. I will say, taking this off, this show is really showing their detriment of recording multiple programs all in the same day. Because everyone on this show was exhausted.
Oh my
in
god.
their
Yes.
matches.
Yes, they were.
They were very clearly exhausted. They were very clearly running on empty. And they tried their best to put on good matches, but every match suffered a little bit because of that. The best overall probably was the best overall as far as like the least amount of being tired for their match, for the kind of match they put on, was probably the first one. But before that, we do get like Brian Lawler being followed by Goldilocks, with her trying to ask about what's going on between him and Jarrett. And he says he's about to tell us before Jarrett attacks him, and then we get another pull-apart brawl with security keeping them apart. So we get cop blocked on that again. This is going to be a running theme for TNA. Not giving us the answer that we were seeking. Or at least for this particular storyline. All right, match 1, Kid Cash versus Amazing Red. This is probably overall the best match, just because these two are the ones that probably have the most energy left after a full day of recording 2-3 shows. I think it actually was shows, personally. I can't be positive, but I think they recorded all. This one and the previous two all on the same day. All right, we got early grapples, holds, reversals, no major momentum. It's really just a contest of reversals immediately. Red shows Kid Cash some disrespect to get him angry and take advantage of it for a short bit. They do a fake out test of strength where Cash reaches up both hands like they're going to grab and then just flips off Red.
I was like, I have nothing to add yet.
Let's see. Moving on, we get a dive to the outside. Red dives to the outside on the Cash, but what little he get little advantage is gained there. Gets reversed immediately with Cash throwing Red around outside. Throws him the railings, throws him onto chairs. Oh wait, there's a part where he throws him to the railing, and then we're focused on Red, and we just see a chair fly in from off screen and hit Red right in the face, which was pretty funny. Cash maintains control going back into the ring. He's showing more of a ground and pound style offense, trying to ground Red. Afterwards, they get more of an athletic back and forth. Cash uses the ref to bump him into the ropes to knock Red off top rope in the corner. Cash goes in, hits a muscle buster style move called the bankruptcy, and gets the win. Red does offer a handshake in Cash, but Cash, grabs his hand and immediately clotheslines him. With this, the Maximos come out and do the Spanish fly on Cash to end the segment. I think this was just meant to put. I think that's the whole part of the end, though, was to put over the Spanish fly as like a really awesome move, which it is. It does look awesome. As I said, overall, I mean, as far as like the condition of the wrestlers, this was probably the best match.
I don't have any.
Yeah, any positives?
I like the flips.
Okay.
I love the flips.
It was probably the most flippy match too, just because, as I said, these two were probably the least tired.
True.
Which is amazing, because if Red was recorded 3 shows, Red should have been exhausted, but he was going like he had a lot left in the tank. It might just be because of how young Red is. He is like, what, 17, 18?
I thought he was 8.
Something like that. He's a little guy. He's got a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Good for him. We did see Red for quite a few years, so on and off. Go to the back again with Goldie now interviewing Sonny Siaki. He just basically hypes up his match with Monty Brown tonight and puts himself over. Just basically trying to push himself as a big thing, trying to make himself seem important.
Sonny Siaki. Sorry.
Has left the interview.
I hate him so much.
Yeah, well, expect to see a lot of him for a little bit because they are trying to push him as a bigger star. My assumption here is what the plan is supposed to be with Sonny Siaki is to give him this title shot at the NWA World Championship, have him lose, and then have him sit at the top of the X Division contender. That's what I'm thinking their plan is. I'm not positive on it. Obviously, they have a lot of. They're trying to push Siaki right now. I understand. With that said, let's get into his match with Monty Brown. They both come out, but Brown gets on the mic before the match actually starts. He's calling out Jarrett, basically saying he wants some payback for the interference for his title match with Truth from the week before, because in Brown's mind, Jarrett cost him the title shot, which is a really common storyline. The match itself is a lot of power moves and stuff like that, basically from Brown overpowering Siaki. Siaki basically has no control for the entire match. The most control he has, and I noticed this, and I was like, stop. Faces stop going to the outside of the ring because it seems like that's always where things go wrong for you. Is when they do get outside and Siaki starts throwing Brown around on the railing and stuff. I did note that during this, I see the ref counting, but it doesn't seem to matter because they clearly were out there for more than a 10 count. The ref had come outside to try to get them back inside the ring too, and was not counting anymore. So, I don't know what count outs mean in NWA TNA right now, because it seems like they never happen. In fact, I think the only time I've ever seen people actually care about the count, it was that Apollo versus Jeff Jarrett match, where he kept on breaking, where the count kept being broken. Jeff, but besides that.
I think Sunglasses is actually very professional, oddly enough, whenever it comes to wrestling in and of itself.
He is a really old school Southern wrestler in style. So he follows a very rules based script a lot of times when he understands a lot of what needs to be done when it comes to selling the match, selling the rules, all the stuff like that. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the other guys in this promotion right now, especially right now, are younger talents that are a lot less disciplined than he is as far as that sort of style goes. So Jarrett's really the only one that's selling it very well. There are a few other guys who can. Scott Hall can. I'm sure Brian Lawler can too. He's rarely ever had an issue. He's rarely been in a match where that's been a problem. Anyways, finish comes when Jeff Jarrett distracts Brown, and Siaki gets a low blow and a roll up to win Monty Brown to get the win. It's an undeserved win, but it was an understandable one because this specifically is what made Siaki #1 contender, and that's how they wanted to build him. They make Brown look like a dominating force, but give Siaki the win to give him the position to go for the title. So it's okay. It's for a storytelling perspective, makes a lot of sense. And we get a little bit of more build between Jarrett and Brown, even though it looks like Jarrett is at odds with everyone. So, before Jeff escapes, though, Bullet Bob does cut him off. Then Monty Brown gets his hands on Jarrett and beats him up a bit. And then coming out of the crowd, Lawler comes with his belt and chokes Jarrett out for a bit until they get pulled apart. All right. And pretty much every in-between segment here is with Goldilocks tonight.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Goldilocks is with Slash now. He has some new member of the new church with him that's named Cobain, who seems to be addicted to suicide. I think it's a little tasteless, but
I nicknamed.
it's just them hyping themselves as the team. It's just some fucking Bible, like dark Bible nonsense. I don't have any of the stuff written down. I don't think it's anything important, personally. If you've ever seen the Ministry of Darkness in WWE, or you've seen, I don't know, anyone with kind of this dark, like evil preacher type gimmick, you've heard this. You've heard this same sort of stuff where they, kind of push Satanism.
Is that what they're
doing? And kind of invoke dark ideals, a dark biblical thing. Bray Wyatt kind of did it too.
The hell is that?
He's someone more recent. It comes off as not. It's in the end of the day, kind of just gibberish. It doesn't actually mean anything. It just is supposed to evoke imagery. Moving on, third match of the night is a 4-team elimination match. This is similar to like the matches Loki had recently, where you had 2 guys in the rings and people had to tag in and out from to actually participate. But in this particular case, it's 4 teams with only 2 guys in the ring, and you could tag any members of any team in and out. Okay, so the participants this time are Disciples of the New Church, which is Slash and Cobain. We have the Backseat Boys, which was Johnny Cashmere and Trent Acid. We have the Hot Shots, which is Chase Stevens and Cassidy O'Reilly. And we have America's Most Wanted, still not using the name yet, but James Storm and Chris Harris. It's really hard to keep track of all this because it's really chaotic. A lot happening in this match. It does start off with the Hot Shots. One of the members of the Hot Shots, I think it's Cassidy, versus one of the members of the Backseat Boys. He does tag in his Backseat Boy partner, so we have, Acid versus Cashmere in there for a moment. And I'm wondering, because the rules of this match is if you're pinned, your entire team's eliminated. So at what advantage at that point is there for you to fight each other? And yet they do for a minute. I don't know if they were just putting on a show or whatnot. It's hard to see what the storytelling was supposed to be, because like if you're putting on a show just to show, hey, we're both athletic, look, we're cool, it's still difficult because when you're doing moves to your partner and you're still doing them the same way you would to a regular opponent, it still looks like you're fighting legitimately. But regardless, they do eventually turn and start attacking everyone else, and that's when it breaks down to a whole bunch of chaos. We had like the AMW fighting on the outside with the other 2 teams fighting inside of the ring. Eventually, it's a whole bunch of dives into the group on the outside, one guy after another. I do notice that Chase Stevens was the last one to do the dive out, and he does like, I don't remember if it was a moonsault or a shooting star press onto them. Either way, he came down head first and was lucky to land on everyone, because he would have broken his neck otherwise. At least I would think so. Maybe because he landed on the people, he lost the momentum, and that's why it looked that way. But still.
I'm so terrified of some of these flips and stuff.
There's more fighting in the ring. I don't remember who was fighting who at this point, but Slash does do the sneak attack on the back of one of the guys. But it is recognized by the ref, and he eliminates the Backseat Boys. Storm fights off Cobain and Stevens to finally get a pin to eliminate the Hot Shots. So it comes down to New Church and AMW. At that point, Brian Lee and Ron Harris come out to sit on commentary and complain about not being in this match, because apparently also this match sets up for a upcoming gauntlet match, and the winners get to be the last entrant. Or it's Gauntlet for the Gold. It's the same thing that we had on the first show. this time for the tag titles. I said in here, I lost track of what was happening between the New Church and AMW, but eventually AMW do get the victory, and then afterwards, Ron Harris and Brian Lee come in and start attacking all the teams. The other teams do come out, but Harris and Lee are cleaning house, throwing them over the top or out of the ring, which is how the gauntlet match is going to be done. It's going to be over the top rope eliminations. But now we know that the AMW are going to be the last entrants for that match, and we know that match is coming in a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. It's not next week, because it's that best of special. They keep on saying the September 11th is preemptive, and I don't know what that is. So it's the third show, so 3 weeks away. All right, we go to the back again. Jarrett confronts Bob Armstrong. Bob is telling Jarrett that he'll get everything he deserves. Jarrett says that he deserves what he deserves, being like the title and all that stuff. And that tonight he's going to expose who's under the mask, because we still have the fake bullet thing coming.
Good gimmick,
all
but
right.
whatever.
I was irritated with that last match just because the rules, stipulations of the match, and how some of the things played out were just confusing. It did not make sense, but whatever. But I was at a bad mood because of that, and then I got in a worse mood because of the next segment.
Oh yeah, we had to like stop halfway.
We stopped after the segment and finished watching the show later. But next was a match, quote unquote, for the Miss TNA title. So this is all okay. I'm just gonna read directly what I wrote verbatim. This is all I hear about. Bruce versus some woman from last week. They bleep out the crowd using the F slur. I can't believe how much time this is given. I can't believe how much time this is given each week. It's still better than the Dups. I still hate it. Bruce wins. Some dude attacks Bruce as he tries to take off the girl's top. That's all I wrote.
Which is more than I wrote about it. I wrote nothing. Zip.
So apparently the dude that attacked him was a wrestler, but I have no idea who it was.
I think it was her boyfriend.
I know they said it was her boyfriend, but I have no idea who the wrestler was. I've never seen him before. I don't know the guy, and I don't think he's around longer, so I don't know what's going on. All right. Moving on, unless you got something else to add.
No. Good.
All right, worst part of the show's over. You get a quick interview with the remaining 2 Elvises, Yang and Estrada. They basically say they're fine with Siaki being kind of a solo act now. But during the interview, Siaki walks in, says some dumb shit, and walks away.
Siaki out. Sorry, Sonny Siaki has left the interview.
Yeah.
Does that every flippin' time.
All right, match number 4 of the night, tag team contest between the Maximos, or the Spanish announce team, as you want to call them, but it's just the 2 Maximo brothers, versus the 2 Flying Elvises, Yang and Estrada. I noted that the way the Maximos are built, they kind of look like RVD. I don't know, it's just weird to me. I know you don't know who that is.
Not at all.
This is the first time, this is when I started noticing how low energy the matches were tonight. So like both, like, because everyone in this are like high flyers, but there was not a lot of high flying in this match. First big thing they did was a double acai moonsault from the Elvises onto the Maximos. Estrada worked over for a while until he saves himself and tags out, but it's not a hot tag. It's just, as I said, it's a low energy match overall. This is the weakest showing from all 4 of these guys, and I think this is a detriment to how they're doing the recording. I understand it's how they have to do it right now, because they're basically booking these guys for dates in advance to have the time to come out, record several shows, and then go back on the road, because almost every single one of them are not like contracted to work. They're just contracted per show right now. And they keep on mentioning how Yang's going on a tour in Japan, so we know they're also working the independent circuit. It's not just TNA.
I feel like Yang always good.
Well, they were mentioning it last week too, and that was part of the reason why it's very obvious they're recording the show, because they're talking about because last week they were mentioning how after this he was going to be going on a tour, but then he's on the next show. So obviously it's recorded in the same night, and they're just forgetting to they're forgetting to state the timeline out correctly in their statements, which is hard to do. It is hard for you to sit here and be like, next week, when it's actually later that night.
Yeah.
Eventually, the Maximos do go for the Spanish Fly on Yang, but at this point, Siaki runs in and prevents them from doing it, giving Yang the chance to hit his finisher, the Yang time, and get the victory. So Siaki actually helped the Flying Elvises win tonight. I don't know what the point of it was. I guess we'll find out. I assume it's to make Siaki say that they need him, or to give him an excuse to say that they need him, but I can't say for sure.
I can't see either.
We'll find out going forward. All right. We get a Brian Lawler interview now, which they've been hyping up through the past match or so. This is happening in the ring, so Goldilocks comes out. Then, Lawler. He apparently has a problem with how Goldilocks dresses. He's getting himself distracted by all sorts of stupid shit, which either says A, his reasoning for being mad isn't legitimate, and he's stalling, or B, he's dumb. And either could be true.
I'm going to go with option A. I'm sorry, option B.
He says there's no place in wrestling for a piece of trash like Goldilocks. So she leaves. At this point, Lawler's now distracted with the audience not shutting up to let him talk. Gives Jarrett 5 seconds to come out and then gives a really, really quick 5 count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wasn't quite that fast, but it was still pretty quick. Jarrett doesn't come out, so he starts calling him a coward, but at that point, Truth interrupts. Truth is making it clear that he's mad about the chair shot from the week before. That was an accident. Lawler is swearing it's an accident, and Truth is just like, dude, I don't care. This is my house, and you're going to pay. And Lawler is almost begging, like, please, don't do this to me. We're friends. After Truth leaves. What now?
I made a joke that they were breaking up.
After Truth leaves, he says that whatever his issue with Jarrett he doesn't even specifically say it has to do with Jarrett. He says this does involve his girlfriend, but he's not very specific about it. And then he points her out in the audience, and she points at a photographer next to her. And under this gives him the impression that apparently this photographer has just been ogling and taking pictures of his girlfriend with no provocation. So he goes out, grabs his girlfriend, and then he walks her to the back. And that's the end of that. And we still don't know what his problem with Jarrett is, even though he had plenty of opportunity this time to say it. It's not like any other time where he's actually where it actually feels like he's been legitimately stopped. This time, entirely on him for not saying. Match 6, technically. Jarrett versus the Bullet is how it's listed, but I have it set as fake Bullet because it's not actually Bullet Bob Armstrong under the mask. I looked it up and I found out who it was, but I'm not going to reveal it.
Dun dun dun.
I told my wife. She was curious.
And she has no memory of what his name was. Sorry. I don't.
Immediately becomes a brawl outside of the ring. He's using the chairs and stuff and just beating up the guy. I wrote, Jarrett is just destroying the mask guy. They do get back in the ring. He hits a low blow and then pulls out handcuffs and handcuffs the guy to the ropes. The actual Bullet Bob comes out when he was going to use a chair on the masked dude. Bob stops him for a moment, But when he's distracted trying to help the other masked dude, Jarrett gets back up. Chair shots Bullet over the head. Though Jarrett's giving very, very gentle chair shots. It's very obvious he's making almost no impact with Bob. And let's just be fair, Bob's like a 60-some-odd-year-old. Yeah, of course he is. He's going to not hurt the dude. Bob is bleeding. Obviously, he bladed. Very little blood, but he's still bleeding. Jarrett does go to unmask the masked man at this point, but he's prevented by security.
Damn security.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what happened. I don't know why there was a massive cut here. I don't know if it was for time or if there was just a problem with something that happened. But there was a clear jump from what was going on in the ring to the commentators where time had passed because the ring was clear at this point. There was no sound of anything happening. So, like, a few minutes have just vanished. Which is weird because, like, every commercial break so far and stuff like that has always cut right back to where we were. With no time lost. It was just weird. It felt weird because of how every show before this has been going. And I was just like, did I stroke out? And my wife's like, if you did, I did too.
I was really concerned for us for a minute.
All right. About 20 minutes left in the show. We have the main event, the triple ladder match for the X Division Championship between Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, and Low Ki. And this is probably your favorite match tonight, right?
It is.
Okay. All right. I have kind of, it's not quite play-by-play because I don't have everything that happens, but I'm just going to go through these because there's, it's a ladder match. Quite a few things happen that are interesting. Lynn and Low Ki fight while Styles is outside going for the ladder. Two of them go to try to baseball slide into the ladder, but Styles lifts it to get out of the way. Now all three of them outside the ring. Styles holding the ladder. He swings it, hits Lynn, takes him down, but misses Low Ki. Low Ki manages to force Styles back in the ring. They don't have the ladder in the ring. Low Ki's in early control, fighting both Styles and Lynn, switching back and forth. Lynn eventually puts Low Ki down with a massive tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and he takes his turn to control the other two in the match. Lynn is clearly using submissions to try to wear down the other two so that they can't climb as easily. Eventually, Low Ki puts Styles in his key crusher position and rams him into Lynn, who is sitting in the corner, before going out and trying to get the ladder. For his efforts, he does get the ladder drop kicked into his face. Fighting on the outside, Styles bridges the ladder between the ring and the railing on the outside. Eventually, all three of them end up fighting on top of the ladder with each other. Lynn bonks both of them, knocking them off and making them land face first on the ladder. At that point, Lynn uses the opportunity to bring the ladder into the ring. Styles grabs the ladder as he's doing so. They do tug over it. Lynn then slams the ladder into Styles' chest. He sets up the ladder, tries to go get the belt. Low Ki comes and kicks him off. Ladder ends up laying against the ropes. Low Ki gets up. Low Ki gets double hip tossed into it by the other two. Lynn moves the ladder to the corner, in which Styles tries to whip Lynn into it. Or no, Lynn tries to whip Styles into it. Styles runs up the ladder and does a backflip over Lynn, who comes charging at him. He goes for a DDT in the corner, but he ends up getting. But instead, Lynn turns it into a suplex, throwing Styles back first into the ladder. It was pretty awesome little combination of moves. Low Ki goes for his backflip combination onto Lynn. I don't know why he does this almost every single time, though. He gets caught as he does his leap. So he gets caught and thrown into a huge powerbomb. Actually, no, he doesn't get thrown into a powerbomb. He usually would get thrown into a powerbomb. He actually manages to do a hurricanrana to send Lynn flying into the ladder. Styles goes to climb the ladder to try to get the title down. Low Ki climbs up behind it, climbs up with him, and they both fighting on the ladder. Eventually, Styles gets knocked off, but he's stuck in the ladder rungs, hanging upside down from the ladder itself. And Loki comes around and starts kicking him in the chest while hanging there.
I'm just saying this, like, through the beginning part of this match, like, I don't understand why one of them is not going out, because there was, like, 2 other ladders that were, like, fully set up. And I'm like, why doesn't one, while the other 2 are fighting, get that other ladder in?
I will say this. Part of the reason is just because having more than one ladder in the ring takes up a lot of space and makes it a lot more dangerous for them.
Okay. By the way, can I say who the winner is?
Yeah, sure. We get some more 3-way mayhem. Before Styles brings in the second ladder, Loki immediately brings in the third. All 3 ladders get set up side by side. Loki goes to try to climb up. He's actually climbing up 2 of them at the same time. I don't know if that was just because he was tired or it's just because he slipped. Styles does try to stop him, but for his efforts, he gets laid across the top of the ladders, and Loki puts the Dragon Sleeper on Styles on top of the ladders. So they are sitting up there balancing, doing this move.
Yeah, that was super scary.
The finish comes with all 3, each one on a separate ladder, Lynn sitting in the center. Would you like to finish this off, or would you want me to say what happens before we...
You say what happens.
Okay. So Lynn's fighting them. He pushes both the ladders away. I think they both bounce back the first time.
No, he couldn't actually get Styles all the way down. I think his foot or something got stuck.
Okay, then at least Loki bounced back.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, so he tips both the other ladders over eventually. Loki manages to bounce back. Styles goes tumbling to the outside.
And he's, like, passed out.
Yeah. So Loki comes back. Lynn and Loki are fighting each other until they're both on the same ladder. Lynn then manages to grab Loki and from off the ladder hits him with a pile driver. And you can finish now.
And then what I wanted them to do from the beginning, which was run up the ladder. He didn't really run, but, he walked.
They're all tired.
Well, yeah, they're exhausted. Jerry Lynn, Oodles and Noodles, as my nickname is for him, climbs up and gets the belt. Yay! He's one of my favorites, just so we're clear.
Yep. New X Division champion after only 2-3 weeks. Jerry Lynn. And, yeah. No, for a match that was by Loki's rules, it didn't work out for him, but it was for a ladder match kind of on the lower end just because everyone was so tired, but it was still really, really cool just because these guys are all innovative and athletic, and except for Jerry Lynn, young.
Hey, don't mess with Oodles and Noodles.
Well, I mean, Jerry Lynn here is in his late 30s at this point.
And he's more active than both of us combined.
And the other 2 are in their early 20s. Early to mid 20s. So, not that that's a detriment to Lynn, because at 30, like 38 or whatever he is right here, he still goes really well, and he still goes really well for several more years. May only be like 35, but still, besides the point. And yeah, that's the end of the show. I kind of wish that we could have had a moment like we had like the last 2 weeks, where at the end of the show, it cuts off with a situation where it's like, oh, Jarrett's dead, because we've had that for 2 weeks straight now. But,
I want him to die.
Well, because the week before, he was getting choked by Lawler when the show ended. And the next week, he was getting stalked by Bullet Bob Armstrong with a chair. I'm like, this was a running gag I didn't know I wanted until I realized that it had happened the 2 previous weeks. And now I'm not going to get it again.
I'm sorry, babe.
It's just unfortunate. But, yeah, that was the show. Feast or fired, sweetheart, or any additional comments?
I'm going to put it as a feast because Oodles and Noodles won.
I'm torn, personally.
Would you?
I want to say feast just because overall it was like all the matches weren't terrible, but at the same time, it was very, very obvious how tired everyone was. And I know that all these matches could have been better with everyone.
Well, yeah, it could have been better with everyone fresh, but they didn't do a bad job.
I know, and that's why I'm torn. Because it should be a feast with how well they did, but I want to say fired because I know how much better it could have been. And that's kind of the predicament you get put in watching these pay-per-views that are getting recorded in bulk on one day, then distributed over the next few weeks, and then another 1 day of recording, and then distributed over the next few weeks. Because that is just the circumstances they have to work with right now. And it's almost unfair to use that as a mark against them. But at the same time, like, these are pay-per-views. These are 2-hour programs that people pay to watch. So I don't know how to balance that precisely. I think I have to be fair and give this. I think the fairest thing would say would be to give this a feast.
Okay, I was about to be really insulted there.
So I would give this a feast. If this was a pay-per-view with a weekly show, this would have been an easy fired. So when we get to the point where we have Impact Weekly, and then we have a per month pay-per-view, I will be a lot more harsher on the pay-per-views.
See, I don't know the difference, and I don't care because it's all based off of my personal opinion of it. As far as like what I think they did and taking into consideration everything else, as far as like how they feel.
Okay, well, that's just how things are. And you know what? It is not even the worst show we've watched.
No, it's
out of the past few weeks. I don't think any of these matches are going to go onto my top 5. We will see. I had to review all my notes, but it was an okay show for sure. Everything considered.
I can honestly say one of these may be in my top 5.
That's probably because you love Jerry Lynn so much.
I do. I think he's actually my favorite, oddly enough, now.
Finally got off the Malice train.
Oh no, Malice was like way at the bottom last time I did it.
I understand that, but like,
yeah.
Okay.
Malice is like really getting pushed back.
I'm going to watch the September 4th show, even though it's a best of myself, just so I have the list of what they show. But I'm going to do my personal list first. You'll do your own personal list. You don't have to watch the show.
I'm not going to.
So I will know what the list is for that show. Everything is stuff she's seen before, except for the interviews, and I don't care about the interviews. Not to report. So next show, September 4th, is just going to be my wife and myself going over what our top 5 favorite matches were so far apiece. So you'll have at most 10 different matches. At least 5 different matches. It just depends on where we rank them and what. Besides that, I think we're done. I don't know what's going on the September 11th episode, but we'll watch and figure it out from there. Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube, and thank you for listening. Keep on wrestling and take care.
Have a good night.